Okay, this is my class where we chose they chose to do mental health. So they chose all sorts of different topics like anxiety, suicide, depression, ADHD, trauma, schizophrenia, and all the students worked together to collaborate on this really great project to tell everybody about these mental disorders and get some information out there. So thank you very much for my media arts and English class.
Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. With mental health issues, it sometimes feels like you can't ask for help until you've lost it. Like if you're still getting out of bed, still putting pants on, still going to work, and still keeping your life somewhat in order, you must be fine. Everything's fine, and therefore anything that's not fine must be your fault, like it's you who's dramatic, unable to handle the stress of everyday life. That is simply not true. There are 40 million adults in the U.S. who live with anxiety disorders, and these anxiety disorders parent themselves in different ways. Just because someone seems fine doesn't mean their anxiety disorder is less valid. And just because you're good at hiding your anxiety doesn't mean you don't deserve help. The mighty ask people in their mental health community who they feel like they live with hidden anxiety to tell them one thing that they wish others understand. Below are the 3 different types of anxiety: generalized anxiety disorder, chronic worrying and anxiety when there is little specific reason to, is no one feature of generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and panic disorder.
Alright, so our topic we were discussing was depression, and what I put for it was ways to prevent and how to help people struggling with. As you can see, for suicide prevention is 1-800-273-8255. It's a 24-hour line people can reach out to. But the best ways you can really help is always reach out to the person, let them know they aren't alone, because generally that's what they struggle with the most with depression, is that feeling of absence, like they're not necessarily there and belonging to what they're in. And then second, tell a trusted adult, because in quite a few cases, thoughts could be coming from life at home, abuse, etc., starvation, neglect, and so, yeah.
Depression is a mood disorder that causes symptoms that affect how you feel. Symptoms include sad, feeling empty, feeling worthless, thoughts of suicide, suicide attempts, loss of interest, or feeling restless. Suicide warnings, willfully and purposeful death to yourself. Guilt, shame, talk of death or suicide, or in-depth goodbye, suicide notes, or a will.
How to help someone dealing with depression. Talking to someone face to face can be an enormous help to someone suffering with depression. Encourage a depressed person to talk about their feelings and be willing to listen without judgment. Express your concern and a willingness to listen over and over again. Remember to be gentle.
Not everyone who is dealing with depression shows it or talks about it in person. A person dealing with depression can smile all day and not even show it. And basically they feel empty inside. Reach to your friend or a family member, even if they do not show signs of being depressed at all. You can still ask them, check up on them, and ask them if they need to talk or need a hug, just any shape or form. Yep.
The definition: the exact cause of schizophrenia isn't known, but a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain chemistry and structure may play a role. Schizophrenia is characterized by thoughts and or experiences that seem out of touch with reality, disorganized speech of behavior, and decreased participation in daily activities. Difficulty with concentration and memory may also be present. Treatment is usually lifelong and often involves a combination of medications, psychotherapy, and coordinated specialty care services.
So who suffers from schizophrenia is usually between ages 16 to 30. Men tend to experience symptoms earlier than women. Most of the time, people do not get schizophrenia after the age of 40 years old.
And then some of the symptoms are in their behavioral, like social isolation, aggression, agitation, and then stuff that's going on with their brain, their thought disorder, delusions, amnesia, their mood, being angry, having anxiety, and in their speech, incoherent speech, rapid and frenzied speaking. And in some treatments, they have support groups, rehabilitation, cognitive therapy, psychoeducation, which is education about mental health, family therapy, behavioral therapy, and group psychotherapy.
So that's just a little bit about schizophrenia. So now we're going to show you a short little clip.
Suicide. It ain't gonna be that long. It's horrible. The cause of suicide is the most common situations or life events that might cause suicidal thoughts are grief, sexual abuse, financial problems, remorse, rejection, a relationship breakup, and unemployment. Facts? Nearly 3,000 Americans commit suicide every year. In the U.S., suicide rates are the highest during the spring. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for 15 through 24-year-olds. And second for 24 to 35-year-olds. On average, one person commits suicide every 16.2 minutes. Definition: suicide is the act of intentionally causing one's own death. Risk factors including mental disorders such as depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, personality disorders, and substance abuse, including alcoholism and the use of benzodiazepines.
Trauma. 8 studies for trauma recovery. Full psychological evaluation, finding a trauma specialist, finding a functional medicine doctor, exercise, self-regulation techniques, and stress reduction, sleep, clean up your diet, seek support. When it comes to mental, emotional, and spiritual trauma, your perception is the one that matters. If you thought that something was shocking and upsetting, then it was.
Okay, well, trauma could be caused by being hit when you're small. It can also be caused by car accidents and constant violence, like domestic violence, that causes trauma. Being raped causes trauma. The type of sex and race you are, it causes trauma too. And society, it causes trauma too, because of the what they say and everything. So yeah, that's it.
Our topic is ADHD. The known symptoms of ADHD is careless mistakes and lack of attention to detail, trouble focusing and following through on tasks, difficulty listening and even when spoken to directly, fails to follow through on instructions and becomes easily sidetracked, difficulty organizing tasks, poor time management, avoid tasks requiring sustained mental effort, regularly loses things needed for tasks like keys and phones, easily distracted, forgetful in daily activities and responsibilities, fidgets and squirms, leaves seat when expected to sit, feels restless, difficulty with quiet activities, come and go, and others find him or her difficult to keep up with, talks excessively, blurts out answers before a question has been completed, completes other people's sentences, has trouble waiting for turn, interrupts or intrudes on others. How a child with ADHD may behave. They often have a hard time paying attention, or they daydream, often does not seem to listen, or is easily distracted from work or play. They often do not seem to care about details, make careless mistakes, frequently does not follow through on instructions or finish tasks, is disorganized, frequently loses a lot of important things, often forget things, frequently avoid doing things that require ongoing mental effort. frequently acts and speaks without thinking, may run into the street without looking for traffic first, frequently has trouble taking turns, cannot wait on things, often calls out answers before the question is completed, frequently interrupt others, cannot play quietly, often runs, jumps, and climbs when this is not permitted, talks too much, frequently squirms and fidgets, cannot stay seated, or is in constant motion as if driven by a motor.
10 blessings of ADHD: is cautious, willing to take action, is creative, a quick thinker, influencing, problem solver, and can think outside of the box. I don't know how you want to say that. Often the first, it has a big heart and giving, willing to sacrifice for others, leadership, potential, ability to hyperfocus. Symptoms of ADHD in children with ADHD face problems in paying attention, focusing. They have trouble following directions and are easily bored or frustrated with directions, tasks. Moreover, they feel the need to be on the move constantly. They are impulsive, which means such children do not stop to think before they act. These behaviors, symptoms found in children with ADHD often in a children's ability to focus at school and home.
Today my topic is eating disorder. It's significant because people suffer every day from an eating disorder, and I want to change that. People in our world, and they suffer from abnormal or disabled eating habits. 3 topics is fearing of gaining weight or becoming fat. 2 is the art of binge eating, then purging or vomiting. 3 is eating until uncomfortably full in one sitting. The events that's going on right now, in regard to my topic, is at the Doubletree, Hilton Hotel, Asheville, North Carolina, Biltmore. There isn't anything going on right now, but they got an upcoming event August 24, 2018, and basically every year they help people with eating disorders.
Today my topic is about OCD. A couple facts is at least 1/3 of the cases of adult OCD begins in childhood. About 2% of U.S. population has OCD in a given year. Famous people with OCD is Michael Jackson, Howie Mandel, Cameron Diaz. The OCD cycle is obsession, anxiety, compulsions, and then relief. OCD, panic, behavioral, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety, and fear. And OCD affects men and women equally. OCD typically begins during adolescence or earlier childhood. At least 1/3 of the case of adult OCD begins childhood. OCD cost the U.S. $8.4 billion in 1990 in social and economic losses, nearly 6% of total mental health of $148 billion.